My goal in this video is to solve the quadratic equation 2x squared minus 2 equals negative 18. Remember that when you solve equations, you want to work through PEMDAS in reverse. So what is happening to the variable here? So if I had a number in place of this variable and I was simplifying this left-hand side, following order of operations, I would take my number here and square it. After that, I would multiply by 2. And then I would subtract 2. Now, because my goal here is not to simplify this expression on the left, I have to undo these steps. I have to undo all those things that just happened to this x. So I need to go through the order of operations in reverse whenever I'm undoing these operations or solving this equation. So remember, when I went through my steps, the last thing I did was subtracted by 2. So the first thing I'm going to do to undo that operation is I'm going to add 2 to both sides. And this is going to be 2x squared equals negative 18 plus 2 is negative 16. So my 2x squared is equal to negative 16, and that should make sense. If this 2x squared is negative 16, negative 16 minus 2 would be negative 18. That takes care of that. Now I need to undo multiplication by 2. The inverse of multiplication is division. So I'm just going to divide both sides by 2. And this will tell me that x squared is equal to negative 8. And realize that makes sense. If x squared is equal to negative 8, 2 times negative 8 would be negative 16. Negative 16 minus 2 is negative 18. I've taken care of that step. Now I need to undo the squaring. So to undo squaring this variable, the inverse of squaring is to take the square root. So I'm going to take the square root to both sides. Never forget that anytime you square root both sides of an equation, you absolutely have to have plus or minus in there. So x is equal to plus or minus the square root of negative 8. With the negative, that's like a negative 1 under there. I'm going to have an I. And now I just need to simplify that 8. 8 is the same thing as 4 times 2. And I can take the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is just 2. And I still have that I there. And this 2 is kind of stuck underneath that radical. I am not going to be able to pull that out. I'm not going to be able to simplify it any further than that. My final answer is x is equal to plus or minus 2i times the square root of 2.